Welcome back to the Operation Greatness podcast. This is part 2 of our Raising Humanity, very, very important podcast. Part 1 and part 2 will continue where we left off in part 1, and we're going to go deeper still into this insight. For me, at podcast, let's see, Raising Humans podcast number 1 was life transformational, certainly, and yet it was also after life transformational as well. We were very clear about the admonition not to go into the quote tunnel of light when you pass, as well as when everyone you care about passes as well. When they die, do not go into the white light, because that's called the death trap. So I want to give you more information about this, and let's go deeper into what it means raising humans. This is one of those two-sided meanings. Okay, so first side is, let's call it the heads side of the coin, raising humans. This is why every one of us is here. We are here to raise the frequency of the human race, of collective consciousness, especially you as an Operation Greatness chapter leader through operationgreatness.com/leader. And this is our chapter meeting for today, for every one of us leading our own chapters and leading, inspiring, transforming, and liberating every one of our online friends, as well as everyone in our local areas, doing a little more today and being of greater service, which is your purpose, as well as everyone you are blessed to have connected with you online, as well as in your local area. So the two sides of the coin, raising humans, the positive side is we are all here to raise the frequency of collective consciousness, because we are consciousness keepers, and we're here, we're responsible for how we are using our power every moment, because that's what we are broadcasting out there. That's what we are creating. It's your intention, and yet it's also your life. Your life is supporting your intention that you want to be the best version of yourself, and that you are living your divine design, duty, destiny, dharma, in being of greater service to everyone you can reach. Like, for example, leading your own Operation Greatness chapter, where our first day together, I hope you've completed this already and are now impressing upon your subconscious mind your Think and Grow Rich Alchemy statement, transmuting your desire into riches. And that's what you are broadcasting out there. That's what you are creating. Your whole life is around that focus, and you're raising humanity, you're raising humans, you're raising the consciousness of our collective human family with that focus, with that pursuit, with your responsibility to master how you are creating your life by where you are choosing to give your attention every moment. And that's your primary responsibility, especially you as the consciousness keeper, the example of what's possible for every one of us. This is your fundamental duty to use your power in creating only what gives you joy, inspires you, moves you closer to your goals, desires, and dreams, knowing that is 100% of your focus, and therefore that is 100% of what your life is reflecting back to you, because everything in your life is the result of where you had previously chosen to give your attention, because that's where you were giving your power. So I think we talked extensively in part one about raising humans, and we'll still interweave that into this conversation, raising humans, how you are being of greater service, how you are keeping your power flowing into creating what serves you, like your Think and Grow Rich alchemy statement. That has become the focus, the focal point of your whole life now. Everything that I do is serving me in living this fulfillment. And your statement is how you are being of great service by performing the specific actions that you are taking, such as I would love you to use as your Think and Grow Rich alchemy statement by, and then I guess I was before saying like in the next 30 days, like 30 days from today. Let's even make this 3 months from now, or this is your year of greatness. So I think I said in part one, I suggested that you use that over our year of greatness together, leading your own chapter through operationgreatness.com/leader, that you have transformed the lives of all of your online friends, and that everything that you could have done, you did to support them in being of greater service to more people. And that was by far the best thing you've done. And so 10,000 people, if you have fewer than that as your online friends, they are very wealthy, fulfilling their divine design, duty, destiny, dharma through leading their chapters as a result of joining your chapter, your Operation Greatness chapter through operationgreatness.com/leader. And then that's also, I mean, so like I think the average person has somewhere, I mean, I don't know, I've used this number for about 7 or 8 years now, 3,600 online friends, and maybe it's a lot more than that now. I mean, like my 182,000 plus people on Twitter and 5,100 or whatever on Facebook, and then whatever the rest of them are. In other words, you leading everyone you can among all your online friends to lead their own chapters. That's what I want you to use as your Think and Grow Rich alchemy statement, except what I'm because you're raising humans by making that your focus, and you're keeping yourself centered in your power, in your purpose, in your reason for being, and that's where you are living your life. Everything is supporting you in that achievement, and this is your grand rising, this is your grand design playing out, and this is how you are being of great service. And yet also your local area, I mean, like I live by Sedona, Arizona, and Sedona is maybe, I don't know, 15,000. And maybe the village of Oak Creek is another 15,000. And yet then Cottonwood is near, and that's, I don't know what that is, 30 or 40 or 50,000 maybe. And then Flagstaff is, I don't know what that is, either 50 or 80,000. And they have a campus that's maybe 25 or 30,000. And in other words, like the whole area might be, I don't know, 120, 150, 180,000 or something. So transform them, because they need you as well, right? Stepping up and doing everything in your power to be of service, to be of greater service to more people. So include that in your Think and Grow Rich alchemy statement, and impress that into your subconscious mind, which is the seat of your power. That's where you are. That's where everything is flowing from, that place. And you're doing this consciously, because how many people are just the result of their programs, their programmed behavior, their conditioning. And we're going to talk about that pretty well. This is all really important stuff for every one of us to hear. So that's how you are raising humans, elevating yourself, and then from there, you're serving everyone you can, because, like, you're making yourself that you're a transmitter, and where you give your attention is where you're giving your power, is how you're creating your life, is how we are creating our world. So you're keeping your broadcast high frequency and high power, and in the positive spectrum, not like we talked about last time, above all else, don't be food. So I mean, that essay that we did was like really, really powerful and very spot on. That caught your attention, I'm sure. That really moved you. So let's go into the other side of the coin, which is raising humans. You are the consciousness keeper. You're holding yourself to the responsibility you have to elevate yourself to become the best person you can be. And this means everything to you, and you're not falling into the trap, the seduction, the temptation, the lure, the old program of siphoning your power away from what you want to what you don't want. No, that would be irresponsible. That would be foolish. That would be against God, like a slap in the face to God, because after all, you are God's instrument for miracles in the world, and that's your fundamental sacred duty. Your life is God's gift to you, as we talked about in our last conversation and in a couple of the earlier Our Greatest Gift shows. Your life is God's gift to you. What you do with your life is your gift to God. So you're taking this very, very seriously now, because it is, and it's why you are here, living your divine design, duty, destiny, dharma yourself, in being of greater service, doing a little more today, LITL, you're doing a little more in leading, inspiring, transforming, and liberating everyone you have connected with you, like all your online friends, joining your chapter and leading their own through operationgreatness.com/leader, as well as everyone in your local area. I mean, like, I could drive an hour and a half and be in the Phoenix metropolitan area. That's like, I don't know what it is now, maybe 4.3 million people or something. I think it's like number 5 or 6 or 7 in terms of the most populated areas in the United States of America. And I mean, so I can lead all of them through this as well. And what would be a greater use of my focus than that? I mean, because we're all here to transform each other, and this is how we're doing that through our Operation Greatness chapters. So let's go deeper into this other side of the coin of raising humans. And this is from the standpoint of, this is really important for you to think about this and yet not give this your power. Okay, so let me just put this as a what if statement. What if, since the dawn of history, since humans were even created, what if that we were even created to be slaves to certain elements who did not care about us? They were looking for help with their aims. And what if certain power structures have been in place to hold us down, keep us from discovering, like we reread in our essay from my book, Reignited America on we started on page 9 in the introduction, reading this essay. And if you only read one message today, let it be this. And what if the power structures were designed to hide the knowledge of your true power from you, and you are of infinite power? Your power is beyond measure because you, after all, are God's gift to the world, and you are the hollow flute, you're God's instrument, and to the extent that you are allowing, and Jesus, in fact, challenged you to be like him, where if you think of that vertical line between 0 and 100% open to God, and we talked about this a lot in part 1, so I'm just reiterating this as a point of information because I want you to hear part 1 and give yourself everything there. I mean, Jesus is the example that all of us have seen or known or felt or can relate to of what it means to be 100% open to God, not holding back or limiting how God is expressing through our lives into the world as God's instrument for miracles that you are. You're God's instrument for miracles, and that requires you to elevate yourself, open yourself to receiving God 100%, 100 out of 100, where Jesus said, all these things I have done, you, you will do yourself. And then what did he add? And so much more, because you are here to lead, inspire, transform, and liberate everyone you can. And there's no limit to how many people that is. Even the amount of people alive on the planet today, like 8 billion people or so or more. Well, there's how many people are yet to be born for the next 7 generations, for example. And you can transform them as well as part of being the best version of yourself, and as part of you keeping your power focused on your Think and Grow Rich Alchemy number, giving none of your power to anything other than that. Your work here is receiving God. Your purpose here is extending God. You have to receive before you can give. You have to breathe in, which means receiving, before you can breathe out, which is extending, right? So, I mean, all of this is extremely important, and it's life transformational, and it's how you are destined to live your life. So let's look at the other side of this more, the raising humans part, because what if these control systems, like this one woman I dated was very interesting. She called it the enslavement matrix, and she just chooses to have nothing to do with that anymore. What if there is an enslavement matrix to keep you away from recognizing that you are God's instrument for miracles and that you have the full power of God, which is infinite and unlimited and is ever present, present everywhere, omnipresent? There is nowhere God is not, especially within yourself. So, what if that information was deliberately the power that you have, which is infinite and unlimited, because you are omnipresent, you are the expression of God in the world? What if that was intentionally programmed out of you so that you did your best to limit the unlimited, or you allowed yourself to receive only, like, I think before the what I call fraud 1.0 began, I think, like what they say that the average person uses between 2 to 5% of their brains, whereas Albert Einstein used like 7 or 8% of his brain. And yet that 7 or 8% was enough to move mountains and transform the world, right? And this is a big part of my divine design, duty, destiny, dharma, helping you open yourself fully to be 100% open to and receiving God and extending God, not holding back or limiting yourself in any way as you are raising humans out of this very low state where we had allowed ourselves to go. Had no more. We are stopping that right here with this podcast, by you sharing this podcast and by you actively leading every one of your online friends to go through this and to talk about this. That's why this is our chapter meeting, with you as your chapter, and every one of us leading our own chapters together and transforming every one of our online friends, as well as everyone in our local areas, through this podcast, by walking them through opening fully to being that 100% example of receiving God themselves, the infinite and unlimited, allowing God to move through their lives and be of greater service to everyone connected with them. This is how, like we talked about before, like you getting your 10,000 people who are getting their 10,000 people. And then what is that? 100 million people. Is that right? I don't know what that number is. Maybe that's even more than that. I don't know. I don't want to look it up now, but whatever that is, or your 1,200 getting their 1,200, and that's 1,440,000 people you've transformed who are getting their 1,200, and that's 1.72 billion people. That's how valuable your life is. That's how much your contribution is. Remember, because your life is God's gift to you, and what you do with your life is your gift to God. So, transforming the lives of 1.72 billion people, you have the ability to do that, and included within the ability to do anything is the responsibility to do that. So, let's go back to this raising humans thing now, like the flip side of this coin. So, if it were the case that the power systems in the world today, like the government was, and the education system, had been or was designed to keep you in your head and away from your power, like your heart or your gut or your pineal gland or your chakra system, your column of energy, and to raise your frequency beyond anything that you have ever even dreamed was possible for you, you would want to know that information, right? You would want to open fully to receiving God and allowing God to work miracles in your life. I mean, like the Albert Einstein example of being 7 or 8% of his potential that he fulfilled, that he did something powerful and he was able to move mountains and transform the world. I mean, my intuitive knowing is that we only have to reach 10% of our power, of our potential, to achieve 10% of our purpose. Like 1 out of 10, if we get it wrong 90%, or if we hold back or limit God 90% of the way, 10%, I mean, Albert Einstein, look what he did with like 7 or 8%. And we, with just 10%, can move mountains and transform the world. And there's no limit to how much good you can do with your focus, commitment, decision, determination, perseverance. I mean, all 13 steps to riches that we're learning together over the 3 weeks of our Think and Grow Rich workshop. We're starting with our beliefs class, and we're doing our Think and Grow Rich alchemy statement today, or when you join I hope you did that already, and this is now, whatever. And we're going to be doing our second week together in 7 days from when we did our first week. And then our third week, we're going to complete our training in the first 3 weeks of you leading your own chapter through operationgreatness.com/leader. So, what if, like you saw in The Matrix, what if, except instead of robots or whatever, aliens or whatever that was in the Matrix movie, I think it was like an AI basically. What if there were these parasites who are, they call them, well, we call them reptilians. And what if they were siphoning our energy? They were keeping us in fear, scarcity, fear, lack consciousness. And that was the virus pervading humanity's collective consciousness. You would want to know about that, right? Because what if the systems were designed to keep people impoverished and fighting each other, and it was a war industry that was keeping people in fear, in bondage, enslaved, and they were just feeding off of that. So the reference to this I will include in the liner notes for today's our part 2 of our Raising Humans podcast, Operation Greatness podcast, is this Reddit note from posted by someone calling himself Esoteric Ninja. And I will give you the link to that. And there's even a part 2, and I didn't read part 1. I read part 1, I didn't read part 2, and I did not. He presents, like, I don't know, let's say dozens of videos. I did not go to any of his evidence posts that he links to in his Reddit thread. I just read what he shared, and I have seen a lot of that or heard of a lot of that. And I did watch that one Farsight reference to the death trap, and that was the inspiration for us having this conversation. So, what if there is this? What if they have been feeding off of our fears and doing everything they can to keep us from our power, our purpose, our sacredness, our power which is beyond measure, because all of us are here to be of greater service and to extend God as God's instrument for miracles. And what if by you being the leader that you are born to be, the inspired visionary leader, in fact, through your Operation Greatness chapter, would be an exemplary way of being that inspired visionary leader? And then where you take that from there, God only knows. Maybe you know as well because you're that instrument and you're opening fully to being God's instrument, and you're allowing yourself to receive God at that 100% level, not holding back or playing small. Or, like, actually watch my other podcast called Becoming Unlimited. That's really important as well. I think that was Operation Greatness podcast number 8. So let me just, okay, so here's an important piece from this. I want to read what this gentleman, what's his name again? Esoteric Ninja, I think it was. Yeah, Esoteric Ninja. Okay, I want to read something. I mean, his post is very thorough, it's so well researched. I want to read just one part of that. Actually, no, I want to share this with you because I wanted to make sure you understand this as well. Okay, so let me see here. I wrote down a few notes that I wanted to potentially read you, and I think these are important as well. So, This is under the section called Afterlife Tricks and Scams. I want to make sure this is the part that well, this is all good. Let's just start from here. There is evidence showing that these entities will present themselves to you in the form of angels. Yeah, this is what I wanted to read. So think of after you die and you see the tunnel of white light. If you get scared and you don't want to walk into that, well, these entities, it says will, let's just say they might, and you know how to respond to them by saying, I wish to go home, or you just will yourself to go to God. I mean, see how that feels to you. I want you to be prepared, and I want you to lead every one of your loved ones and make sure that they know this as well, because what we're doing is we're stopping them from feeding off of us. Okay, so I'm going to talk more about that shortly as we go into the next section, but let me just read this to you again. These entities present themselves to you in the form of angels, Jesus, God, saints, guides, ascended masters, guardian angels, whatever your belief system is, and they're going to try to convince you that you need to go back to the earth so you can pay back your karmic debt or to continue, quote, learning, or that you have to go back with a special mission to fulfill. Like if Jesus says, oh, I have a special mission just for you, you wouldn't deny me my wish, would you? And yet it's just one of these reptilians or this energy form that's malicious or malevolent. All of this is complete nonsense, or this thread uses a different word, but we keep falling for these scams because they tend to make sense from our narrow and pre-programmed perspectives. And then there's a note about good luck fulfilling your, quote, special mission if you can't remember what the mission is because of the death trap that erases your memory. We put blind trust in what they say to us because of constant, well, this says religious indoctrination during our time on earth. And these beings know that. Like, what if these power systems were designed so that there was no resistance? And what if this was what I learned in this Farsight program that introduced me to this idea of the death trap. And I guess I had heard about it for years and I just it had not been present for me for a while. What if all of this led to, what if this was actually a prison planet? And that's why, and you're here just as, like that saying, feeding humans. What if you are to these parasites or predators? What if you are the crop? Like they think of you and all of us as cattle. What if that's what we are to them, like what cattle or sheep or goats or fish are to humans? Very, very compelling question. Would you agree? So I'm going to share more about that with you because I like how he expresses that in this thread, which I will put in the notes for this show. So hear this. They can't force us to reincarnate or to go back through that tunnel of light to be processed, so to speak, to have all of your memories wiped out and then to be recycled into a new body as a soul. They can't force us to do that because each soul has free will, but they can pretend to be someone they're not in order to put ideas in our head that it's in our best interest to accept reincarnating back on earth, making it sound as if they are doing us a favor so that we can evolve, learn, or fix previous mistakes, and that they're basically doing and what they're basically doing is they're using our own free will against us. The real purpose of continuous reincarnation is soul enslavement disguised as spiritual evolution. A free will decision is impossible without memory and knowledge. So, and okay, here's another note that he says, with like the life review that is very common. Many people that went through near-death experiences have spoken about being accompanied by a quote loving angel who showed them their life review. The reason the entities show us life reviews is so we can relive certain moments from our lives in which we made certain mistakes. And by reliving those moments, feeling that guilt or shame or remorse, reliving that makes us want to compensate for that. We talk about Judgment Day, right? This is me sort of adding on to what this gentleman writes in the Reddit post. Judgment Day, when we expect that when we die, we're going to face the consequences and be given either eternal damnation or eternal bliss, right? I mean, that's part of the programming. So we expect this life review, but what if that was just designed to make us feel like we failed in our lives and we have to go back and do it again, to go back for a voluntary re-sentencing in the prison? I mean, is this preparing you to make a decision that's more in alignment with your soul and your soul's purpose? These beings use these feelings of guilt, shame, failure against us, telling us things such as, you have made these mistakes, you have to go back to fix this and that. Nobody is perfect and we all make mistakes. So their emotional manipulation scam will never end if you buy into it, because being human, the statement this gentleman writes, it's impossible to not make what we perceive to be humanly mistakes. I don't agree with that myself, because why would I mean, we're here to learn and grow and better ourselves, and we're here to receive God at 100%. And when that's our focus, when that's our vision and our purpose and our determination, and we surrender completely to God, and we know that feeling from, we have discrimination and discernment, we can tell what is the presence of God versus what is ego, and ego is 0%. And just to complete that thought from before, I think that before Fraud 1.0 is what I call it, we as a society were about 3% or 2%. And then after Fraud 1.0, I think we digressed to like 0.5%. What do you think about that? Because we got so up in our heads and we became disconnected from life, from each other, from our purpose, from God. And disconnection, I mean, from the dumbing device, the dumbing device is the agent of disconnection, distraction, disempowerment, despair, discombobulation. I mean, is there any question about that? How much more disconnected are we? Which means we're and distracted and disempowered from our purpose and from recognizing ourselves as well, with you being the God's instrument for miracles, God's gift to the world. This is why you're here. So be here now, this moment. Connect with life, connect with God, connect with your power, connect with your purpose, connect with your family, connect with your neighbors, connect with your community. Transform the lives of everyone in your community through your Operation Greatness chapter through operationgreatness.com/leader. So, okay, this is the other paragraph that I wanted to read here. Why is this is his section here in this Reddit thread? Why is source energy the creator of this universe allowing all this to happen? That's a fair question. I would like to invite you to answer that right now yourself before we even get into this, because that's stretching your critical thinking. That's turning you within, and maybe even ask God why this is happening. Why is this allowed to continue? It's a fair question, right? And I would like you to answer that before we continue. So I'm going to read what he's sharing here, and then I'll probably add my own thoughts as appropriate. Each being in this universe, whether malevolent or benevolent, has free will. Malevolent is, seeking to do harm, and benevolent is seeking to do good. Each being has free will. Ask yourself why. This is a really important question. This is what I want you to hear and understand. Why are we humans allowed to enslave animals here on Earth? Very relevant question and valid for every one of us to answer. Why are we allowed, and I didn't know this either, and he's got a link in here to support this statement. Why are we allowed to slaughter more than 3 billion animals on a daily basis? I'm guessing that must be across the whole world, globally, because I guess 8 million people, how many of them eat meat every day, which means killing animals. Why are we allowed to keep animals locked up in farms and cages until the day they die? I mean, that's called inhumane for a reason, because we wouldn't treat humans that way, except I guess we do because we have solitary confinement and we just dump people out of society instead of working with them, hearing their pain and treating them. And, anyway, okay. So, why are we allowed to be so cruel to the other forms of life? Why? I mean, really, why? Answer that question yourself. Because we, just like these entities do, have free will. From our perspective, we do these things because we need something from them, the animals. We kill I mean, and I realize these systems are designed by the parasite predators, globalists, communists, pedophiles, Satanists. Evil is the broad terminology for them. like where the cattle or the mother cow cannot even move, or the chickens are in these, are just crammed in there, and it's filthy. Anyway, I mean, it's, I understand why people become vegans. And I lived that way myself for 6 or 7 years. And I'm from Wisconsin, so I do like cheese. And I add cheese to my salads, or, well, pizzas or sandwiches when I go out to eat. Otherwise, I don't eat any. Otherwise, I'm mostly vegan. So, and I've been vegetarian since I thought it was 1982, but that sounds like a really long time ago, and maybe it was 92. I don't remember exactly. I'll have to ask my mom or something. But anyway, I've been vegetarian for a long time, and but anyway, I understand. I mean, like, okay, so just here's a point of reference on this. This was a very intelligent and insightful woman, and we dated for a while, and she was more plant-based, and she was like, I think maybe our first date, like, I had Parmesan in front of me in a can or bottle or whatever they call them, and I was like, this doesn't offend you if I put it on my salad, does it? And she was like, how can you be responsible for the industry that murders millions of cows? And I was like, whoa, I didn't expect that. She was sincere because she was so in integrity with how she lives her life that she is not contributing to that industry of torture and abuse and inhumane treatment. I mean, like, and she even gave me a copy of a DVD called Forks Over Knives, and in this famous scene, I think it was from that movie, or maybe it was from something else like that, where these cows are being led to slaughter, and you can just, like when they hear like the electric, when they put the prod on them and they kill them, these, these cows are like in horror. I mean, and I've witnessed this myself. Across the river from me where I walk, I hear cows in pain. And at one time, like the first time I heard it, it's like, wow, this cow is like in serious pain. Do I help it? Like, is it caught in a tree or something? I didn't know what it was, but somebody later explained to me, no, they take the babies from the mothers, and the mother is just crying out in grief, just like, I don't understand how anybody could do that. I mean, that's why I choose not to eat meat for sure, and yet I still contribute to the horrific conditions that the parasite's predators, the evil, feeds off of, the misery of the inhumane conditions. Anyway, but why? That's a very important question for every one of us to answer, right? Because we, just like these entities do, have free will. From our perspective, we do these things to the animals, cows, chickens, hogs, almost all animals, I guess. I mean, other parts of the world probably do that to cats and dogs, right? Because we need something from them, which is energy in the form of physical food. That's why we think we can do this to the animals. Is that honorable? Well, how could it be? Is that dishonorable? Well, of course. Is it appropriate? Well, I mean, maybe the way the natives, the indigenous people did their killing, that was honorable, like anyway. So we do this because We think we need something from them. That's my adding the word think. We need this, which is energy in the form of physical food. We think we are entitled to do what we do because we are superior to the animals, and because we need to survive, we perceive these things to be normal and part of life. From the perspective of the animals, however, if they were aware of it, we would be their reptilians. Wow, is that like, I mean, can you participate in that anymore after hearing this? Or are you vegan now yourself and just walking away from that whole parasitic horror? Let me read that to you again. From the perspective of the animals, if they were aware of it, we would be their reptilians since we operate just like them, but we never see ourselves that way. We don't think we're the bad guys because all we do is try to survive. These entities don't see themselves as the bad guys either, since they're also trying to survive. What we do to the animals is almost exactly what these beings do to us, and they need to keep us imprisoned here to feed off of us, just like farmers keep their cattle locked up in farms. I mean, I hope there's more than I hope this, I mean, I don't know, you know about the industry farms where they just like the animals can't move and they're in there so close together and they have to walk around in their own, you know, and it's just unsanitary. And that's what people are eating when they eat that stuff because, anyway, I understand why people are militant vegans because of this cruelty and because I love animals and I love humans and I love life and I love the earth. And I mean, anyway, but you make your own decision and well, okay. So, how do you respond to that? That was like, wow, that just so how can we say, I mean, it's easy for us to put judgment like we are okay. It's okay for us to, I mean, like, how did we, what is it, like 18 million turkeys are killed every year or whatever that is? I mean, that's just, and then they're kept in, whatever, because of some tradition, because of the program. Like, oh, we were all programmed to eat turkeys on Thanksgiving. Well, I mean, anyway, but so what's the answer to this? Raising humans, to me, it's like, okay, they're feeding off of people by the systems that are designed to keep us oblivious of our power. My purpose is to, oh, this reminds me, okay, so I used to have something called the Inner Wealth Mastery Program. And I interviewed Joe Vitale. He was pretty well known as an author. I guess he still is today. He was in the movie The Secret, and it was, when was that? I was April 15th, 2003, when I interviewed him. And I felt like he was coming from abundance and he reached down, I call it, into the muckety muck, like, like a fish doesn't realize it's in the ocean until it's out of the ocean, and then it's like starving and gasping for air, and it's trying to get back into the water to breathe again. Well, somebody who live their whole lives in scarcity. I call it scarcity. What do I call it now? Scarcity, fear, lack, who lives their whole lives in scarcity, fear, lack, not knowing the light of day. Like I felt like Joe Vitale reached down to where I was and pulled me out into the sunlight. And that's what I am here to do with you and with everyone connected with you and everyone connected with me. And by you joining your Operation Greatness chapter and by you leading your own through operationgreatness.com/leader, and you pulling yourself out or taking my hand and letting me help you come into abundance. And see, there's not even really a word for that because abundance is your nature. I mean, you are, after all, God's instrument for miracles. You are God's gift to the world. So be it. Just remember those three words. So be it. I am here to live my best life, to be the best version of myself. So be it. I am here to be of greater service to more people. So be it. I am here to become very wealthy. Like Dan said in part 1 of the Raising Humans podcast, Operation Greatness podcast. I think it was there. Yeah, I think I mentioned it there, and I mentioned it in other podcast shows or chapter meetings as well, that our first our first Think and Grow Rich workshop, our beliefs class that we're doing, or that we did, hopefully, our first day together when you joined my Operation Greatness chapter and started leading your own through operationgreatness.com/leader. The morning of, I think I did say this in part 1, the morning of the first class, I had this very clear vision that thousands of people were going to live this workshop and take it to heart, and they were going to use it and become billionaires. Thousands of people are taking this to heart and using it and becoming billionaires. I'm talking about the full Think and Grow Rich workshop that we're doing together in our first month together, with you leading your own Operation Greatness chapter through operationgreatness.com/leader. So that's also you coming from abundance. That's also you receiving God. I'm taking this to heart, and I am one of those thousands of people who have become billionaires as a result of being the best person I can be and focusing my power and using it in being of greater service, in leading, inspiring, transforming, and liberating everyone I can among all my online friends as well as in my local area. That's where you are giving your power. That's what you are creating. Remember, where you give your attention, you are giving your power, and that's how you are creating your life and how we are creating our world. So we are raising humans not for food. No, we are raising humans out of scarcity, fear, lack consciousness. You're reaching down and pulling up. You're lifting out of poverty consciousness, scarcity consciousness, fear, don't be food. So every one of your online friends, you're helping them not be food. And when you come out of that scarcity, fear, lack, I call this the matrix of fear and limitation. By you leading everyone you can, and there's no limit to that, including everyone on the planet now and all of those not yet born, because you are the consciousness keeper. We stress that in part 1 of this Raising Humanity podcast. You are the consciousness keeper. So you're giving none of your power to these parasites. You're giving all of your power to living your divine design, duty, destiny, dharma, transforming the lives of every one of your online friends through your Operation Greatness chapter, as well as everyone in your local area. You're the greatest gift anyone has ever given them in their whole lives by you empowering them to become financially free by leading their own Operation Greatness chapter through your OG chapter. I mean, really hear that. This is your power. This is your potential. This is your purpose. This is your blessing. This is your gift in being of greater service to everyone connected with you. You're feeling this, you know this, you have that truth detection system that we talked about in part 1 is saying, wow, yes, he's absolutely correct. I have to do this, and he's going to help me to giving me the post I can make and the guidance and the videos. I'm going all in here. This feels right to me. I have to do this. I have this power. I have always known there's so much more for me. And this is it. This is my higher purpose. This is even the higher purpose of social media. It's why I have these, whatever, how many people you have following you on Twitter or friends on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, all these other places, you have them connected with you for a higher purpose. And that's for you to empower them to become financially free and to be that inspired visionary leader of everyone connected with them. Because all of them you are transforming as well. What is that anyway? 10,000 times 10,000. So that would be 1,000 would be 10 million. So I guess 10,000 would be 100 million. Yeah, that makes sense. So you getting your 10,000 people who are getting their 10,000 people, you've transformed 100 million people right there who are then getting their 10,000, and that would be what? 10, that would be 100 billion people. So that's like whatever, 12 times more than we have on the planet or something, 11 times, whatever it is, 11.6 or whatever. So that's you have the ability to do that, to transform, to lead, inspire, transform, and liberate every one of your online friends by leading them through this Raising Humans Part 2 podcast through your chapter link. They're joining your chapter and their friends, they're leading their friends, and their friends are joining their chapter through your link. Well, their friends are joining their chapters through their links, but all of your online friends and everyone in your local area are joining your chapter. And this is by far the greatest thing you have ever done. That's pretty obvious, right? So we're raising humans, the positive side of this coin, out of scarcity, fear, lack, consciousness. You're doing that yourself. You're taking my hand and you're coming out of that scarcity, fear, lack, the matrix of fear and limitation is what I call it, or out of the ocean, and you're just coming out into the light because abundance is your nature, because you are God's instrument for miracles. You are God's gift to the world. You're receiving God so much more fully now, right here. You're not holding yourself back in fear anymore. I mean, like if society, I think, was at 0.5%, meaning almost 100% in ignorance or ego, or you could say Satan, instead of knowledge and God. So you only need to be at 10% open to God to move mountains and transform the world. So are you at 20% now receiving God, or 30% or 40%? Or are you up to 50% open to and receiving God? fully now, being present with that and feeling the presence of God, the Holy Spirit moving you now in being of far greater service than you ever even imagined was possible for you, knowing that this is that so much more that you've always felt and known and intuited was out there for you and you just didn't know what your purpose was. Now you know. You can transform every one of your online friends and be that inspired visionary gift in their lives, giving them the gift of financial freedom and the ability to transform every one of their online friends and everyone in their local areas by joining your Operation Greatness chapter through operationgreatness.com/leader. And this is by far the most important thing that every one of us has done. And we're coming together and we are doing this as our human family. How does this feel to you? Breathe this in. Sit with this. Feel this. You feel God moving within you, stirring you. This is my invitation to step up and be everything that is my destiny to be. I'm fully present with this. I'm doing this. I'm going all in. I'm making the decision right now. I am transforming the lives of everyone connected with me online, all my online friends. I'm the greatest gift that anyone has ever given them. I'm giving them the gift of financial freedom. And I'm going to make sure that they are all receiving this gift and becoming this inspired visionary leader of everyone they are blessed to be able to serve. They're all a blessing and gift in my life, and I'm not going to let any of them down. Like what did they say? No one left behind. Like they used to say that in the military before the last regime. And then, well, anyway, that was a whole other thing. But that was part of the parasites, the system. And see, we're raising humans now to not be food. And then we're starting to treat our animal friends lovingly, humanely. And you see how much lighter the whole planet has become by every one of us raising humans, taking this to heart, becoming our best, living our best, receiving God. This is what it is all about, right? So, how much more light are you now? How much more are you God's gift for miracles? How much more valuable is that gift God has given you? And the value, what you are doing with your life is your gift to God. Is there any question that this is the most important thing you have ever done? Leading your Operation Greatness chapter and making sure every one of your online friends is leading their own chapter as well? Because that's the gift that you have given every one of your online friends, and they are giving that same gift. So that means you are giving that same gift to every one of their online friends. How many people in human history have transformed the lives or anywhere near that many people as 1.72 billion people just by you getting your 1,200 who are getting their 1,200 who are getting their 1,200? Or every one of us by you getting your 10,000 who are getting their 10,000 who are getting theirs? Is there any more meaningful and fulfilling and joyful gift for you to give yourself, for you to receive yourself as you are receiving God at the level of 100 out of 100? Jesus said, all these things I have done, you will do yourself. And what did he add? And so much more. This is that so much more for every one of us. I'm so grateful that you are taking this to heart, that you are really hearing this message. Now, as we did with our part one, I'm going to ask that you go back to the beginning of this part two. And if you didn't do that in part one, then start there and do that there as well. Take notes, write all this out. This is you becoming your best self. This is you opening fully to God, receiving God and extending God in the world, being God's gift, which you absolutely are. You're not holding back or playing small or limiting God in any way anymore. You're becoming unlimited. So go back to the beginning of this, write all this out, post all of this through your chapter link through operationgreatness.com/leader. This video and leading every one of your online friends through stepping up and opening fully as the gift they are, as God's gift to the world. I mean, in this conversation, in our podcast today, Raising Humans Part 2, you can probably write about 70 or 80 different posts very easily. So I want you to write out your thoughts, take an insight such as, wow, I never even, I mean, this might be an example of what you're sharing as your posts on all your social media. Wow, this Raising Humans Part 2 podcast through your link, operationgreatness.com/leader is where you get your chapter. It really blew me away because it's talking about how when we die, we must not fall into the death trap of going into the tunnel of light, even if our loved ones are present and they're bringing us into the tunnel. No, that's all a trap. You got to hear this full recording, parts 1 and 2 of the Raising Humans Operation Greatness podcast at this link, because this is everlasting life transformational as well as life transformational. When I heard this, I was like completely blown away, and every one of my loved ones needs to hear this, and I'm including you among my loved ones. So make sure that you know that instead of the tunnel of light, say, I wish to be home. I wish to go home. And there you go. Anyway, I mean, that's just one post you can make, and that's an example of the probably more than 100 by now, actually, that you can make. And I want to make sure that you hear this and that you take this to heart and that you allow this to serve you fully as you are leading, inspiring, and transforming and liberating every one of your online friends as well as everyone in your local area. So I want you to go through this podcast as your chapter meeting, where you're bringing all of your online friends into this podcast. They're going through it with you and they're joining your chapter through this chapter meeting. I mean, is there any question that you can get at least 2 of your online friends joining your chapter just by leading them into this part 1 and part 2 of our Raising Humans Operation Greatness podcast? Because that's what's paying for you to lead your chapter. Just 2 people, because you're getting $98.50 per person per month, and your investment is $197 per month. So 2 people are paying back your cost. And what we want to do first is get your first 25 people, and I would like you to do that today, by the way, because then that's enough, because we want to get you to pay for your full year, to have that already paid for by how you are leading, inspiring, transforming, and liberating your first 25 people, because then that's also your 2 per month, times 12 months is 24 people, but we want to also just have you make money as well. So you're already paying for your full year, you're paid back for your full year, and then also 50% profit just from your first 25 people. I just really like the feel of that. That just feels right. Would you agree? The people you are serving are already paying for your full year of your Operation Greatness chapter, so you don't even have to think about that anymore. And then you're already starting to make money from it. And that you're already like, 50%. And then, start to double your money and just go on from there. And you're getting your 1,200 people. That's our focus officially for the first 30 days. But you can do that in the first 10 days. And I would encourage you to do that because you're not holding back or limiting God in any way, shape, or form anymore because you are God's instrument for miracles. This is how you are being God's gift to the world, right? So this is all through operationgreatness.com/leader. So I'm serious. Go back to the beginning of this and write out all of your thoughts, insights, relate them to your own experiences. How does this feel as you are thinking about this? Did you give up eating meat? Are you no longer eating dairy and contributing to the torture and murder of how many, 3 billion animals a day? I mean, I really like what yesterday I met with a woman she's been vegan for, I forgot what she said, 11 years maybe. And I mean, she talks about the studies and she's done the research and all these people who think they need to eat meat. No, they do not. She's done the work, she's done her homework, and I trust her in her assessment of that. No. I mean, I've known that. And then this doctor friend of mine who's been vegan for I don't know how many years either, she's talked about even like this one big bodybuilder person. He was like superhuman strength and he was doing it all as a vegan. So anyway, be careful about the systems of enslavement or control or the predators. Don't give them any of your power anymore because you're raising humans out of that scarcity, fear, lack consciousness and program. The matrix of fear and limitation is what I call it. Help everyone connected with you, all your online friends. You have the ability to transform their lives. So be it. Be that inspired visionary leader who is leading them out of scarcity, fear, lack programming. You're helping everyone become all that they are destined to be as you are becoming all you are destined to be. Nothing matters more than this for every one of us. This is the measure of the value of your life, of the gift of your life, of your contribution to the world. Did you have any idea you could have anywhere near this level of impact, influence, as the blessing you are, as God's gift to the world you are? This is all through leading your chapter at operationgreatness.com/leader. Breathe in all of this. Feel moved, inspired, liberated by all of this. This is your ticket to financial freedom, just as it is your gift of financial freedom to everyone you are blessed to have connected with you. And you are that blessing in the lives of every one of them who is leading their chapter through your chapter link from operationgreatness.com/leader. Have you ever been called to do anything more meaningful, more significant, more abundant, more giving, more generous, more loving than this? Is this the Spirit of God moving through you now to go to operationgreatness.com/leader to do your part from the heart for the whole of humanity? Share all the posts that you have made, like all 85 or 100 or 120 that you've made from this video alone, or this Operation Greatness Raising Humans Part 2 podcast. Share that with me. Share all the posts as well as all your feelings in the email you're sending me and the essay you're sending me, as usual, at dan@danclatt.com. You do know how important, how imperative it is for you to share this podcast and make sure all of your online friends are hearing this and receiving this message, right? The only question is, are you doing that through your Operation Greatness chapter link? And why would you not? Because you deserve the best in life. You deserve everything that you are here to achieve. And this is how you are achieving it. I mean, this is financial freedom money that we're all creating together here. So I do want you to, if you didn't do this from part one, I do want you to do our Think and Grow Rich Beliefs class today, so that you're already starting our Think and Grow Rich Alchemy process, our 30-day process to transform your desire into riches. I want you to begin doing that tonight already. So, excuse me, please do that workshop class number 1 today. It's 90-minute class. It is honestly worth paying $10,000 to just receive that first class. You'll know that when you do it. This is all as part of your first assignment from today. If you're joining us just now, when you're part of my Operation Greatness chapter and leading your own through operationgreatness.com/leader. You are the inspired visionary leader the world was destined to help transform. Every one of us. You're doing that with us all. We're all helping you, serving, and supporting you every step of the way of leading, inspiring, transforming, and liberating all of your online friends through your Operation Greatness chapter, as well as everyone in your local area. And this is the most inspired thing that every one of us has done, the most enjoyable, meaningful, fulfilling, profitable thing every one of us has ever done. And we're also feeling the presence of God every moment of this journey of liberation, this journey of transformation. I look forward to reading how this show and our part 1 Raising Humans show has moved you and what was most inspiring, and the person you are now as a result of hearing this message and taking it to heart. As the leader you are destined to be. And I'm so inspired to work with you, and I'm so excited about everything great you are creating as a result of truly hearing this message. I'm so grateful for you being here and playing out fully here, because you are that leader that, well, you are God's gift to the world, that inspired visionary leader. It is your gift to be. So be it. Thank you very, 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 very much. I love you. I believe in you. I know that you are destined to do incredible things as God's gift to the world. So be it. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.